everybody, welcome back to the Overwatch video series. My name is Tom Pierce, aka the Scale Nerd. Overwatch is a project I'm working on that incorporates a Navy SEAL team riding a Polaris Quadrobike ATV vehicle. I found this kit made by Yufan Models online. It's a resin kit, 1/35th scale of the quad bike. Yufan Models also makes the sniper team. So you've got the driver, who's also the spotter, and then riding on the back is the actual sniper himself. Bought some extra additional components to put on the bike, fabricated some stuff myself. So in video one, the part one of this video series, I took you through that process of the building, the fabrication. This video, part two, is going to be on painting the quad bike vehicle. Part three will be weathering. Part four will be the figures, the two-man team. I'll go ahead and show you the assembly and painting of those. And then lastly, we'll end up with the diorama build slash vignette. So we'll put them in some kind of sniper scene in Afghanistan. So welcome back again to my video series, and I hope you get something out of this video. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started here. Coming up with the color for the bike. I didn't quite like just the Iraqi sand directly out of the bottle, so I'm mixing up my own variation of it. So I'm taking the Vallejo colors and Model Master colors, water-based acrylics, and I'm mixing a little bit of the sand and the white and a little bit of a gray mixture that I custom made up of my own. So we'll mix them all together, and it's kind of like cooking. I mix until I see the color that I want. So I can't tell you exactly what the mixture is, but I was relatively happy with it when I got done with it. So I'll take that, thin it down with a little bit of water. Once I get these mixed together, load it up in the airbrush and start shooting. So let's sit back and watch. So I'm using an Iwata Eclipse HPCS airbrush. I run about 23 to 25 pounds of air pressure in it, using a Campbell Housefield large air compressor. I like to put a little bit of water in the base of my airbrush cup before I start pouring paint in. That way I make sure I get some good fluid, clean water down in the tip and the nozzle before I start dropping paint on top of that. It kind of helps to keep it from clogging, and then I mix that water back into the paint after I pour it in, and kind of put my finger over the end and blow some bubbles back up in there to get it all circulated around real good. So here I'm just going to go ahead with the kit on the turntable and just spinning it around. I find that this is a easier way than trying to hold it with my fingers and twist it around in the air. I just kind of got turned on to this trick here recently. I've never used a turntable before. I know just about everybody else does, but I'm kind of slow when it comes to that. So I finally got around to putting together a little turntable, and found that it makes the painting process a lot easier, especially for these larger pieces like this that you can spin around. So now I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of black, and always keep a little bit of water handy in my palette there, and go ahead and start working on the wheels. So now I'm going to take a little bit of black and go ahead and work on the wheel wells and suspension. Pretty much everything underneath of the main body is black. So your main frame, suspension, exhaust, just about everything underneath the outer body is black. So I'm painting that, as well as a few other little details here and there on the outside. Very little that's not sand color on this vehicle. gone through and painted some of the other black details. Got the handle bars and grips, the plate that holds the speedometer on, and just a few other things here and there. I'm going to take a little bit of silver and go back in to the tow hook and the disc brakes. Now I've got the tail light and headlight lenses painted. I'm going to go on ahead and start working on the wheels and tires. I often work through this large magnifying glass. Gives me about a 2x magnification, and there's a little inset magnifier that bumps it up. I can't recall what it is. I think it's about a 4x or something like that, but it does help working on these smaller parts, especially working on figures. Now that I've got the, I think it's a speedometer display there on the handlebar housing, got that painted, going on ahead and adding some gloss varnish over top of it, try to make it look a little bit more like there's glass over top of the lens. So now you see me working on the extra pieces I bought from Yufan, the stowage items. There's some ammo boxes, something like a bedroll, backpack, extra helmet, just several different little things that I'm going to be mounting on the front of the quad bike. So I'm going on ahead and painting the base colors for this, and then I'll do a little bit of detail work on it. found these at the CVS pharmacy. These are cosmetic blending sponges, and I thought they would be something to try out here, to use them for some various painting techniques. And I can cut them up into smaller pieces and shapes and use them however I need to. So you'll see after I mix up some special, mixing up kind of my own wash color and thinning it down with a little retarding medium and water to kind of make a wash. And then after applying the wash on there, I'll use these sponges to wipe the paint back off and just leave it down in the recessed areas to start the process of creating some shading, a little bit of weathering and dirt and shading and that type of stuff, so it just doesn't look like a solid one color. And the sponges, when you put these thin washes on there, allow you to wipe it off the surface, the top, the highest areas of the texture to the mold. And then I'm going in and hand painting some highlight details. I normally use oils to do this type of work, shading and highlights, but on these stowage items and maybe even on the figures, I haven't decided yet. I'm just sticking with the acrylics, mostly because I'm going to be doing the digital desert camo pattern, which is extremely tiny and detailed, and I just really find that I can't get the type of detail I want with the oils as well as I can with acrylic at this small of size. And more importantly, when I use the oils to get large blended areas, so like a large, well, even small for that matter, but to blend shadows and highlights together. When you're dealing with a camouflage pattern, blending is just not quite that straightforward as it is with a single solid color. So it's kind of hard to explain until I show you what I'm talking about, but what I can say is trying to do a lot of shading and highlighting in a camouflage pattern can be quite difficult, especially using the oil. So I stuck with just acrylic on everything so far. We'll have to see what I decide to do when I get to the figures. I'm sure I'll use the oils for the faces. I always do that. But for the uniform being this digital camo pattern, it's hard to say what I'll do. I'm also trying something else out here to see if it works, and it worked out okay. It wasn't good enough by itself. It's something that we typically use on tanks and airplane models. It's a Panaline accent wash, so it's an enamel-based, very thin enamel-based black paint that you can use this kind of like little eyedropper brush that comes on the bottle to soak down recessed areas, and that paint will kind of pull and gather in cracks and crannies and recessed details and start creating or making some of those details pop up, and then the higher areas that paint will just kind of roll off and go down into the lower areas. Sometimes it tends to soak into all areas on an acrylic paint. That's why it actually works better if you take some clear satin or clear gloss and put a clear coat over your acrylic paint job first, and then it tends not to soak down into your acrylic base coat paint in areas that you don't want it to. I didn't do that on this here because I wasn't really worried about it. I didn't put a lot of the Panaline color on there, and I kind of liked the way it was making discoloring the ammo cans and making them a little bit dirtier and grimier. So I didn't put a lot on there, so it got me a good start at where I wanted to go, and I ended up going back and doing a lot more with just a regular paintbrush and acrylic paint. I did decide to go ahead and shoot the entire piece with some clear satin finish. The reason I did that is because I wanted to follow up afterwards with a little technique I do sometimes on metal cans of this sort. It's this graphite pencil, so it's just a solid piece of graphite that I rub around highlight areas and edges of metal pieces or model parts that are supposed to represent metal, and it kind of gives it that metallic look and gives you a little bit of the paint worn thin on the corners and the handles and things like that. Guys do this a lot on tank treads and some of the other areas of wear on metal cars and tanks and that type. I like to use it on just about a lot of different things: jerry cans, ammo boxes, canteens, things like that. It gives a nice little worn metallic look to some of these smaller parts like this. Okay, that's it. That's the paint process. So again, part one of the video was the build, part two was the painting. Next video, part three, will be the weathering. So I hope you got something out of this video on the painting. It's kind of straightforward, basically using acrylic paints and a little bit of airbrush work and a little bit of detailing. But overall, it's just base colors and just getting it set up and ready to go ahead and do final weathering, detailing, and distressing of the vehicle. before we go into the next video where we'll be working on the Navy SEAL team, the sniper and the spotter from Yufan Models. So I hope you enjoyed the video and got something out of it. I think the next video you'll find a little bit more interesting. I'm gonna try out some new techniques and materials that I've never done before, so hopefully that will go well. So again, thanks again for coming back to my videos, and check me out on Facebook. Go to, or look for the Scale Nerd on Facebook. I share a lot of stuff on there about my past projects. I'm showing photographs step by step of several different models and dioramas and projects that I've worked on, sharing little tips and tricks. Also, I'm trying to build up a good library of videos on YouTube, so look for me there. So until the next video, thanks again for coming and watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and until I see you again, happy modeling.